Hi everyone, I'm Hannah from Crafted in the Valley and welcome back to another TeckWrap video. Come along with me today as I test out some of their Glitter HTV, and I have all of these amazing colours to try out. But I think what I'm going to do is a rainbow design. So I need 5 colours. I've got my yellow, green, blue, purple and pink. I think this is going to look absolutely amazing. I haven't used the Glitter HTV before, so this is going to be fun. So the rainbow design that I'm going to go with is going to go onto this navy blue kids jumper for my daughter. But with any clothing pieces using HTV, I highly recommend using a lint roller on the garment to remove any excess lint from the fabric. You can see here that's one roll there. I'm going to remove that off and do another round as well. The more lint you can remove, the better, because then there's less loose particles sitting in between your fabric and the HTV to make sure it adheres properly. So now I'm going to cut all of my colors. I've got my 5 different ones here, and they're each going to be their own size to sit nicely in that rainbow design. Cut those with my cutting tool there. And those are my colours. I'm in love with them already. I'm so glad I picked these ones. For the cut in my Cricut Maker 3, I'm going to use my purple Strong Grip mat to make sure the HTV doesn't move while it's cutting. Make sure I do shiny side down. That is the carrier sheet, of course. But what I'm going to do is actually cut all of my rainbow shapes on the one mat. So I'm going to put all of my colors on here ready to go, and then I can select them in place when I go back into my Cricut design space to actually select for the cut. To make sure it's all nice and flat though, I am going to use my roller just to flatten those down nicely, just to make sure there's no bubbles that will get in the way of the actual cut when I get it into my machine. So let's take a look at my design. So I have this 5-layer rainbow, and it's a bit of a boho inspired type rainbow, but those are obviously not the colors I'm going to do, and you don't need to change, you know, the colors of your image if you know what colors you're using, but it does help sometimes to visualize what it's going to look like at the end of your project. So that's just what I'm doing here, changing my colors to make sure I'm happy with what I've chosen, and I am very happy with them as is. But for the cut, as I said, I'm going to do it all on the one mat, and just to make it nice and quick, I'm going to go into my colors and change it all to the one color. Does not matter what color, as long as I know what size is what color, as to how I place them on my mat, then it's all good. Like what I'm doing here, placing them all in place as like I have with my actual physical mat, and then I just need to make sure I've got my mirror turned on to make sure they mirror the image for the cut when I need to place it onto my garment. And I'm going to use my premium shimmer vinyl setting with more pressure. I've had a lot of luck with that setting for anything thick. So that's not only HTV like this one here, but also some of the thicker vinyls. That shimmer setting is really good because it's a nice strong deep cut. So now I've got my pieces here all cut and ready to go. I'm just going to take my weeding tool pen just to lift off the corner of the HTV off of that carrier sheet, so that I can then peel away that HTV from my design there. And much like a lot of the TeckWrap HTV, it peels away really nice and easy, and you can see it does leave a sort of glitter residue, probably isn't the right word, but a bit of glitter behind on that carrier sheet, but I'm fairly certain that's not going to affect the actual design when you press it onto your garment. I think that's just the sort of, you know, way it comes, and they're probably all going to be this way, as I will see when I start peeling back the rest of them. And yeah, so this one also leaves a bit of glitter behind on the carrier sheet, but I'm not worried about that. I do like that I've chosen something a little bit different than a plain rainbow, so that's going to look really nice. And you can see how nice and glittery the HTV is as well, even just with those pieces that I've pulled away from the carrier sheet that I'm discarding. You can see how glittery it is in the light. Now I have sped up this process a little bit just to save some time, but it is really nice and easy to pull away. It did not take me very long at all to actually get all of these done. Those are all my pieces there, very happy. But what I'm going to do here now is actually use just my hand scissors to cut around that carrier sheet, because I want to make sure that when I press them onto my garment, I'm actually going to do one press only. You could do them on separate presses, of course, if you wanted to, but I do find if you're doing lots of different presses onto a garment, if you have to do multiple, you do run the risk of, you know, any of your HTVs bubbling, because it might have had too many presses, gotten too hot, and just could turn into a nightmare. So I'm going to try and press these all in one go. So I just need to cut around my rainbow pieces so I can place them nicely all together. I could have used my Cricut Maker to cut through the carrier sheet as well, using like the offset feature, but I would have had to do like, you know, different cut strengths and things like that, and I didn't want to be bothered with that this time around. But that is something you could try if you wanted to do this method, say with, you know, a rainbow shape or something like that, to try and get it all in one cut. So I'm going to heat up my heat press. I've got it set to 140 degrees Celsius, which is fine for this. However, I do need more time on it, so I'm going to set it for 15 seconds for when I'm ready to press. But I do need to preheat my jumper to remove any of that moisture out of the fabric, which might stop the HTV from adhering properly. So just a quick preheat on that. I've already done the lint roll on it from earlier there. So that's now all heated up and ready to go. I'm just going to grab my t-shirt sort of collar guide there for the toddler size, and then start placing my rainbow pieces. So I'm going to start with the top one, the pink, the largest of them all, to try and center that where I want that to go. And then I can use that as my guide for placing the other pieces of the rainbow. And then I've got my purple dots, which are really cute, as the next layer. And then the blue, which is just a plain cut. But the bright blue looks really nice against the navy, actually. I do like how that's going to look. The slightly thicker green layer is up next, which is more of a neon green, which I actually quite like as well. And then the yellow. I love how bright these colours pop against the navy jumper. I'm really happy with the colour choices I've gone with. Now, let's press. Slide her in. Hit the start button. So 140 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds. Pull that out, and now I can start peeling away my carrier sheets. Being glitter, it is a little bit, not trickier, but you do need to pull a little bit harder than you would, say, their normal HTV to peel it off. But I do recommend with any HTV just going slowly, just in case any of it hasn't quite pressed properly. You don't want to rip it off too fast and then find that some of it hasn't pressed properly. I've got all of my layers coming off nicely here. And you can imagine having to do each one individually would have taken a lot longer as well, whereas this is the much quicker process. So I've taken all my carrier sheets off, but I am going to slide it in for an extra press. I'm going to grab my Teflon sheet just to pop over the top and slide it in for another press in the heat press, just to make sure it has adhered properly. I would recommend doing a second press with like a Teflon sheet on any sort of HTVs, regardless if it's glitter or a normal one. It just helps to make sure it has adhered properly once you've removed that carrier sheet. And look at that, how beautiful is the glitter. It's always hard to see properly in a video just how nice glittery things are in videos, but it is absolutely beautiful, and I love the feel of it as well. So it is textured, but it's not super rough, which is nice, especially if you're making something for kids like I did today. And that is my boho themed bright colored rainbow jumper using TeckWrap Glitter HTV in 5 different colors, which will be written in the description. It is absolutely beautiful product. Please check it out if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and thanks TeckWrap. See you next time.